Now the Knicks,
The Knicks.
still without Donovan Mitchell, still with what's his name, Julius Randle.
Ugh, yes.
Kidding.
I'm just making sure that we didn't
So
miss a trade.
yeah, the latest report was that three teams were on Donovan Mitchell's list.
But he hasn't demanded a trade.
The Knicks, obviously, the Nets, and then the Miami Heat. The Nets, not going to happen for a lot of different reasons. Ben Simmons in particular can't be on the roster, and I can't see why Utah would want him. The Heat,
they're not going to want Kyrie either. Yeah.
It's over. The Heat don't have the assets. I mean, it feels like to me, Alex, it's the Knicks are bust.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But until it happens, I'm not confident. And the trade that came out was that the Knicks offered them 2 picks, Fournier, Obi Toppin, McBride, and a bunch of nothing, and they was like quote unquote fillers, which I don't know who the rest of the fillers are. I mean, I think that's enough, but that's not a serious offer for Donovan Mitchell. It's just not, 2 unprotected picks. Okay. You want to say that, but then you got to give them Grimes and Obi, or two of the big 3, Grimes, Obi, and Quickly, right? You got to give 2 of the 3 of those people if you're going to give up only 2 picks to have a serious offer. You can't show up and be like, hey, take Fournier, Taj Gibson's old locker, and a couple dirty socks from Melo years. Like, no, you can't do that. This is Donovan Mitchell, especially after we were talking about the Gobert thing, which I don't know why it's such a big deal, but apparently it is. So it shouldn't be, but it is. So you can't do that. You have to offer the 4 picks, which is what I've been saying from the start. It has to be 4 unprotected picks. That's the start there. And then you want to throw in another unprotected pick or 2, and then it has to be 2 of the big 3, and then whatever else, throw Fournier in because there's no role for him on the team anyway if he's here with Donovan Mitchell. So it's just, what are we doing? Are we serious? And now we're going into the media manipulation. Both sides are leaking. At least they're negotiating and they're back into it, because there was a good month where they didn't do anything. Like, this is my final offer. This is my final offer. And it's just like, okay, well, see you later. And it's just like, what are we doing? Why couldn't we do this the last few weeks? Like, why did we do this? I know deadlines make deals, but come on. So it's got to be 4 picks unprotected. Throw in 2 of the big 3 and make it work, and they'll accept it. And if they say no to that, then forget it and just trade Randle and let's go. You can't go into the season with Julius Randle, and you can't go into the season with just Brunson, Hartenstein, and then you dump some nothings on the squad. You can't do that. It just can't happen.
I have so many things to respond with here. I should have been taking notes. First off, I love that the Rudy Gobert trade maybe in theory helped the Nets. And then I love that it's given Danny Ainge more ammunition to go after the Knicks, and probably has hurt and stunted that trade, possibly.
So they said,
what had happened, with the trades and what's being requested there. So I do love that. I wonder, from Danny Ainge's perspective, Knick fans, hear me out here. Pretend you're Danny Ainge. At what point? Because you're let's think of it from a Utah Jazz perspective, because I think we always think of it from the Knick perspective and what we want. But from the Utah Jazz perspective, Ainge is trying to do a rebuild. If he's got Donovan Mitchell on the roster, he can't tank as much. I think Utah with Donovan Mitchell and this team is not good, but they're not awful, right? They're not going to be a top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pick. They're going to be 35 wins, right? Or they're going to be 35, 3 to 37.
The Knicks.
Yeah. So at what point does he say, like, I have to trade him because I need this to work? And to me, that in a sick, weird way, I think that he needs to make the trade more than the Knicks do. And I think at some point, Danny Ainge cracks. Because of that, for the Knicks, it would be great to get Mitchell and upgrade their roster, but they still have their plan that they're working with. Their young players, their core, move forward. Jalen Brunson's here, so they don't necessarily need to do it. I think for Ainge and his mad plan, he actually has less leverage here and eventually will crack at whatever that back and forth trade is.
That's fair. And the Beverly trade we didn't mention yet, going to the Lakers. So that could have been part of a deal. We thought maybe a 3-team deal, and Randall going to the Lakers, Beverly going there, and other things moving around, Clarkson somewhere, who knows? But it's just, which would be funny actually. All these old Lakers going back to the Lakers with Clarkson and Randall, that would be really funny. But anyway, so it just popped in my head. I don't know who has more pressure. I think at this point, that Leon Rose, if this was his, this has been my fear from the start, that this was his plan all along, to beat down Knicks fans, try to get Donovan Mitchell on a discount. And if you can't, you beat down Knicks fans all summer, that they say, fuck it, just bring Randle back. And because that's what he wanted the whole time anyway, because that's his boy. He's the one, we talk about it all the time. Look up Julius Randle on the Woj pod from last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. Julius Randle was in a restaurant with Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Kenny Payne, Elfrid Payton, and a couple other people. And they said, what do you need? And Julius Randle told them, I need a coach that's going to hold me accountable, which is Thibs, which is a joke now looking back. I need people that are going to be there for me and have my back and in my corner. And Leon Rose pitched the deal to Dolan, and he got the job. So Leon Rose owes Julius Randle everything in this position. So he wants to keep him. He wants to do right by Julius Randle. And that's why I think trading him to the Lakers is doing right by Julius Randle, because I think his family would be okay living in LA. He's lived there before, et cetera. Right. He's not sending him to back to New Orleans, So I do think there's some kind of nepotism there where he really, really, really loves Julius Randle. And that's part of why Thibs wouldn't bench him, wouldn't hold him accountable for doing things that are unforgivable, really, throwing a laptop in a coach's face, yelling at fans, cursing them out, things like that, and dogging it on the court. Don't get me wrong there. So that's another thing. So and then Obi Toppin sneezes on the court and he's benched. Mitchell Robinson gets 2 early fouls. He's like sent home. So it's just, there's something there, and I can't put my finger on it, and I'm not in the building, so I can't say for sure. But as somebody who follows this like almost to an obsession level, there's something there with Julius Randle and Leon Rose, where Leon Rose does not want to trade him. And that's my biggest fear, because it's going to ruin this franchise and the fan base is going to revolt.
Would you deal Randle for Westbrook if Mitchell wasn't coming back? If Mitchell wasn't coming here?
Yes. Because I think buy out Westbrook.
The Knicks?
I can buy out Westbrook. Yes. I think addition by subtraction. Even if you have Westbrook stuck here and you can't buy him out, let him come off the bench and be like just like a crazy motherfucker off the bench. And then that's it. You're like, this is your role. And if not, you can get bought out. You want to play a year in New York City? Then you got a year in New York City.
He would actually, him and the Knicks fans would love each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's why I've wanted him for years.
I think actually at this point, I'm not saying, he's not the star guy. He would be like
he'd be Beverly,
the crazy 6-man coming off the bench and just giving a hype and spark. He can't shoot.
Dunking on somebody every now and then.
I think actually that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have, as long as he could, didn't give Toppin more minutes. I guess just you don't want to take away from RJ and Brunson at that point, because that's your future. That would be my fear. You've invested all this money into Brunson, and then you're about to invest possibly into Barrett. Less about the money. You can't take minutes away from him. That would be interesting though. I think that'd be fun as hell.
Yeah. And that's, and then you have your starting lineup is, even if you still have Fournier, your starting lineup is like Brunson, Fournier, Barrett, Obi, and Mitch. And then you have Grimes and Quickly and Westbrook getting big minutes off the bench. That's a fun squad. You got Sims, and you know what I mean? You can have some fun and win some games. I mean, I know Westbrook's a mess and he's a big minus a lot of the times, but if he's coming in 20, 25 minutes and he knows his role as like a player coach,
and he's not, and he's not Randle.
And he's not Randle. And that's it. And then if Westbrook acts up, you just say, okay, goodbye. You send them home. There's 1 year left. You Al Horford him. Okay, well, you know what? We don't need you. We'll pay you, but goodbye.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds kind of fun to me. I'd be I don't know, say I'd be into it as a Nets fan, but I think as a Knicks fan perspective, at least it'd be something different, and Julius Randle would be there. Do you think, Alex, when this is all said and done and the season starts, why are you smiling?
The way you said it. You said my name again. It just made me laugh. I think Alex.
I'm on an interview. It's Bad Weather Fans, episode 131. Mike's going to interview Alex. We could do that. We could do more role playing. Do you think that Mitchell's on the Knicks?
Well, Mike, I'm not sure at this point. I was confident, but I'm not sure anymore.
Got to answer. I want an answer. Like, you have to pick one. Like Barbara Walters here. Come on.
I can't give a firm yes or no. I want to say yes. I want to. So you can't, because you can't answer it. I have no. I don't know. Like I don't know.
That's the point of the tough question, Alex. That's the point of the tough question. I'm not asking you, Alex, do you like shrimp? Well, Mike, if you saute it. No, I'm asking you. Do you think it happens? I mean, honestly, what do you think? End of the day, you had to make one fucking pick. Stop getting out of this. You're not this is not on Congress under trial from like January 6th. Relax.
Plead the fifth. 1, 2, 3, fifth. Okay, so I think that Donovan Mitchell is going to be on the Knicks. I think that when all the dust settles, everybody's saying this is the only team that it's going to happen with. They're just playing with fire. And Alan Hahn had a really good video he put out today. It was like 10 minutes, but it was really worth the watch if you could find it somewhere online. I don't know if you put it on TikTok or Twitter or wherever it was. I just saw it. The New York basketball account posted that. And he went into this whole thing about how it feels like it's almost at the end, and the Knicks have to be prepared to walk away. Where the Melo thing at the end, where they kept saying, "Okay, we got a deal done, but you know what? Why don't you throw us in a swap?" All right with them. Well, you know what? You really need Melo. How about you give us Mozgov? And it's just like, at the end of the day, you're like, all right, fuck this pick and Mozgov. Like, are we kidding? You know what I mean? But now you are in a different situation than you were then. I mean, I know you had a good young team then, so that's not really true. So I take that back. But like, you can't act from a point of desperation, but you also really need to get Donovan Mitchell. You are kind of desperate because you go into this season with just Brunson. Let's be real. You're going to win 38 to 40 games. And unless RJ Barrett takes an incredible step that we don't see coming, and that'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, you got to get rid of Randle if you're not going to get Donovan Mitchell. And that's what I'm saying. So I do think Donovan Mitchell is going to be there, but if he's not there, you have to get rid of Randle. And then they're not going to do either. And it's just going to be, they're going to run it back, but it's not going to be as exciting as the Nets running it back. That's what I have to say.
I'm glad to hear you admit that. That was kind of cool to hear out of your mouth. The thing is, like you said, 38 to 39, 40 wins. The thing is, the Eastern Conference, I'm trying to pull it up.
Right.
It's just loaded with teams.
What did they win last year? 30.
Knicks 36 and 46.
36. Yeah.
I think.
So, I mean, I think Brunson gives you 2 to 4 more wins, 5 more wins tops. You know what I mean? So he's not that great. You didn't, get Chris Paul in his prime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he could run an offense. That's great. And he can hit some big clutch shots. Okay. So you might win another couple games, but you still have Thibs, who's going to start Fournier over Grimes. You still have Thibs who's going to start Randle over Obi. You still have Thibs who's going to not care about who's playing better. He's just going to care about his nepotism and Randle. And that's it.
It's going to be weird to watch. That'll be a weird one to watch. It's the Randle and top in there. That'll be strange.
That's good because the fans are going to be the second Randle in a preseason game. Randle turns the ball over and pouts for 1 second. The fans are going to be chanting OB, 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 OB. And we saw how much that pissed Randle off the last time. And that was coming off an all-star and all NBA and a new contract.
Obi Toppin should be thanking Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Because there is like a buzz about Obi Toppin because no one sees him. Yeah. And then he plays sparingly. He's like, he had a good
flashes.
He scored 42 points against my grandma who was playing for the Raptors that night. That he's become this like cult legend in a lot of ways.
It's from New York. He's ball. Dad's a street ball legend. He's like the perfect New York legend.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I get frustrated with Knicks fans that are so enamored with their young talent because they think it's so good, yet their team sucked. And I just can't. You and I had a good text exchange about this, and you kind of debunked me in a lot of ways with some like in-depth stats. But from an overall perspective, it's like, no, you can't deal him. I mean, this is the future. And I'm like, then why is your team always losing?
Well, they did win 2 years ago. They were really good
because Julius Randle was awesome.
Right. But RJ Barrett did play well. He was the number 2 player on that team. And Derrick Rose really played well. That's another guy we forget about that's on the squad. Derrick Rose, You don't even think he's there. And I didn't even mention him before. We were talking about the guys on the team, So it's kind of crazy. But at the end of the day, it's just so frustrating because I know that they're going to just run it back. And it's so frustrating. I don't know what I was supposed to get to at that point. I got kind of sidetracked by Derrick Rose.
Fine. It's fine. See, that's why I'm so excited, Alex, because you made a point. The Nets can't win a championship this year.
They're not. Yeah.
But they possibly do it. But
they could. There's a possibility. There's a road where it could happen. The Knicks are not winning a championship.
Right.
That's a guarantee.
I have my road is opened up.
Yes.
And that's why I'm excited.
It might be a dirt road through the woods, but there's a road. There's a pathway you can walk through. You might get ticks on your leg if you're wearing shorts, but you might get there at the end of the day,
You're romantic, Alex.
I don't know. Depends.
This is not a role-playing thing. Calm down. I'm a romantic, right? And in my head, I'm thinking Kevin Durant's big foot, Kyrie Irving gets hurt, all the bullshit that happens last year. Then the team says they're going to leave. Then they come back. In my head, I'm like, all that torture is for one moment where it's just like the best sports orgasm that you've ever had. And it's like,
I know.
It's out of you.
And we've all been waiting for that for so long. Well, you got it with the Giants, but you have the Nets in a different level.
Nets bubble.
The Nets for you is a different kind of level
for
you, championship. I haven't felt it on any of my teams. Mets, Jets, Knicks, never.
I can't even think like if the Nets
Rangers when I was a kid, but then I stopped watching hockey, so I don't even count that, you know?
Yeah, just that moment would be spicy. And I'm not, trust me, my gut would say bet every other team. I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen. But there's a shot, man.
Yeah. That's all you need. That's all you need. So
Mets won, by the way.
Oh, good. The ground was crushing it.
3-1.
We were looking back, and you mentioned the group chat, you know, my guys, Triple M, Coonies, Aram. We were looking back, and Ray, whoever else, we were looking back at what other players were traded that were like 25, 26 years old at Donovan Mitchell's level. And Kyrie was one of the people, but like, you know, they only got one pick in that deal. And the one pick was the New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets 2018
Colin Sexton, right?
And then turned into Colin Sexton, which could have been SGA, which would have been crazy. That would have been a big deal if the Celtics the Cavs could have just had SGA, which would be nuts. Yeah. But anyway, or the Celtics could have had him had they not traded for Kyrie. Yeah, I mean, whatever. There's so many things, you know. So they also thought they were getting Isaiah Thomas, not what Isaiah Thomas turned into. They thought they'd get a part of him. They didn't know he would be done.
Crazy,
you know. That's
just a weird situation.
So that trade was like the Celtics crushed that trade, and Kyrie really screwed them over, you know, by wanting out, because that core of Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum with the Williams guys, like they had everything, that had it set.
They're still set, but yeah, I know what you mean.
And Gordon Hayward too was there. I mean, before he, you know, fell off and broke his leg in half. I mean, but like
terrifying.
Yeah. Ugh. That killed that season. But you know, they had that Celtics team could have been crazy, but like there's no comparative situation. It's probably Anthony Davis, like Richard Jefferson was saying on the 2 episodes ago on here, right? On Bad Weather Fans. But you know, they gave up Brandon Ingram, who, like Rich Jefferson said, all-star caliber player, and everybody knew it. And, you know, a couple Josh Hart's good player. You know, these are good, solid veteran players. You know, the Knicks have these 3 guys that you don't know if they're that good. You know, Quickly looks like he could be a good role, like a good player, like you know, Quickly. Better than Josh Hart, maybe, you know, like a good player. Okay. Obi Toppin has shown nothing. Grimes played a couple games, like he played really good. He played really good in those games. He did well in the summer league, right? Everybody went nuts about that. You know, come on, like, give me a break. What the hell is Grimes? That's why I've been saying, like, who cares about these players? And even Alan Hahn said it on that 10-minute rant that he had today online, that like, if it was about these young players and you wanted them and they were valuable to you, Utah, the deal would be done. You know, there wouldn't be an issue, you know, but then that goes back. Rewind, do the rewind. It's on Thibs. You know, he didn't play these kids all year. He force-fed us Alec Burks at point guard. He force-fed us Evan Fournier. He force-fed us Taj Gibson. He didn't play these guys. He force-fed us Julius Randle. He didn't play these guys, so we don't know what the hell they are. If we knew they were actually good, might not even be thinking about Donovan Mitchell. You know?
How much do you wish you had Kenny Atkinson?
Oh, my God. That's what I wanted, man. That's what I wanted.
It's funny, though, because Thibs was – I mean, the Knicks were so great. I mean, they flamed out in the playoffs, but an amazing regular season, overachieved beyond belief. I mean, it was thrilling for Knicks fans. I mean,
coming out of COVID and the whole thing. You know, that's exciting.
The playoffs versus the Hawks, the little rivalry that brewed, and then just to kind of fall so flat. So weird that the Knicks went from awful to the 4 seed that looked great to then regress back. I think the Knicks will ascend back up more. I don't think it's going to be as wild as like a 4 seed move up, but I think it'll be more of like your normal more of your normal team that's young getting better. that this is no Mitchell. I think that'd be different. But like I look at the East, and I'll play this sports talk radio game. But the Heat, I'm not gonna even give my opinion on it. I'll just say the teams:
Okay.
the Heat, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Raptors, the Bulls, the Nets, the Hawks, the Cavs, the Hornets, then the Knicks. The East has a lot of good, like
East
those
is
teams are
stacked.
solid.
Yeah, they're like the old West. There's the East now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean the Cavs are up and coming.
So what are we doing?
The
So
Raptors are going to be really good. Raptors had 40. Raptors had 48 wins. I mean, and their best players 12. Like they're getting better.
And they still have
Crazy.
Siakam and Van Vliet. Like,
they're
they still
good.
have championship players. Guys who have won.
Raptors are good.
Yeah, and Nurse is still there, right? He's still the coach, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Nick's there.
Yeah, and oh, you guys are and your boys, right? You and Nick.
I mean, we had that one brunch, but you can never get reservations on that place. Don't go there. Eggs Benedict sucks. Anyway, yes. No, I don't know Nick Nurse.
I know it's just funny that you said it like that, but
I don't
know. Yeah, so that's why I don't. When you lay it out like that, I don't understand how any Knick fan would be okay not getting Donovan Mitchell. When you lay it out like that, and when you lay it out like that. And the way on my Twitter, I put out that tweet of what the starting lineup is going to be this year. If there is no Donovan Mitchell and Randle's not traded, if there's no trades anymore, and this is the team, the starting lineup is going to be Brunson, Fournier, Barrett, Randle, and Robinson. That's what it is. And if you think, Grimes is going to start or Obi's going to play, he's not going to do that. He's a 64-year-old stubborn old coach who got mad when the team won with young players that he refused to play for the entire season. So why now is he going to change?
Can I be in your group chat so I can have these conversations? Can I be in your?
You're not a Knicks fan. No,
I'm not allowed in. Can I have like a day where I'm in?
We have to ask Aram. He's the administrator, so we have to ask him.
Like, can I have a day where I'm allowed? How many people total?
I don't know. There's a couple, but there's like 5 or 6 of us that are very active. 4 to 6 that are very.
And other people that are just observing.
They're there and they chime in every now and then, but usually there's a good amount. Cooney's in it, your boy, and whatever. So
yeah, he's fine.